Last night, I went through the painstaking process of going through all of my transactions to track my spending for an entire month. I think it's been really insightful, and I think there's a lot of things I can do better. So let's just go ahead and get started. To preface, I'm using my spending data from the month of April. And the reason why I'm not using a more recent month like May, June, or July is simply because those 3 months are summer months, and like a lot of other people, I find that I usually spend a lot more because I'm traveling and visiting friends and vacationing in the summer months, whereas April is more indicative of my normal spending habits. Kind of on a similar vein, I'm not including my tax refund or the taxes that I owed because April is indeed the month for filing taxes. And I'm also not including any cash transactions, but I don't really use cash anyways, so I think this is a pretty accurate read of what my spending looks like because I also did factor in Venmo and Cash App transactions, which is pretty much the closest thing, I guess, to cash for a lot of things. The first thing I did was download all of my credit card statements and Venmo Cash App transaction history and just put it into a spreadsheet, order it by date, and for each transaction, apply some sort of general category that I thought most appropriate for it. I arrived at a total spend of $4,208.73. Of course, there is a lot of data analysis, and I think it would be very insightful to look at it chronologically to see how my spending varies throughout the week and day by day. But I'm more interested at a macro level on the breakdown of my spend into the various categories. So I went ahead and made a Sankey diagram. If you're unfamiliar with Sankey diagrams, they are a great tool to visualize the proportions of the breakdowns of a group, but they kind of have an advantage over the traditional pie charts because you can show the breakdown of subgroups as well, left to right. So let's go ahead and take a look at mine. As you can see on the left, you see the total spend, and I broke it into 5 major categories, which are housing essentials, shopping, restaurants, entertainment, grocery, health and wellness, and transportation. Obviously, these are arbitrary, and I kind of curated these first main categories, so I just thought they would make sense. Starting off with the housing and essentials category, as you can see, it doesn't really break out into multiple flows because this is dominated just by my rent, which is $1,539 a month. I have a 1-bedroom apartment that I share with my girlfriend, so I am very thankful because I obviously really enjoy living with her, but also financially, it is great splitting rent. $1,539 for a 1-bedroom in Washington, D.C. is really not bad at all. There is a small little offshoot, which is laundry, which I paid $22.50 for. Since we do not have laundry in unit, I had to reload my card. All other utilities are included, so you'll notice that I don't have any separate Wi-Fi, electric, water, gas, heating, etc. The next category is shopping, which I know is a little bit open to interpretation, but I just try to include the transactions that are kind of like buying physical material goods or services. A lot of this category, I think, is an anomaly. Certainly, my keyboard breaking and having to go get it repaired was $167, but that is an anomaly and hopefully will never, ever happen again. Tax returns, $32 or $31.78 is something that happens annually, but that's something only for the month of April. And same with the consumer goods. I think a lot of that stuff hopefully won't happen regularly. I think this month, there was a couple of sales that I was shopping, got a new hoodie, sweatshirt, things like that. But generally speaking, I really want to cut down the consumer goods section. And I feel like I don't normally spend that much per month, but maybe I actually do. But generally speaking, I'm trying to get quality stuff that lasts a long time and I don't have to keep buying, new clothes, things like that. Restaurants and entertainment is the next category, and I personally think this is the category that I need to work on the most. $1,450 is nearly as much as my housing costs, which is kind of insane. And in particular, the subcategory sustenance eating is way too high in my opinion. I called things that are sustenance eating when I'm basically buying food out because I am either too lazy or don't have enough time to make food at home. and I'm just eating by myself. I don't really like that at all, whereas the social eating category is where I'm getting food out with friends, and I'm perfectly happy to spend money doing that. But when I'm just getting food because I'm too lazy or I didn't buy groceries or meal prep appropriately, that's what I really don't like. I broke it into a subcategory even further for Jimmy John's and Chipotle because those are clearly the two places that I get food a lot when I'm running low on time. I don't feel bad from a health perspective since I feel like those are like relatively healthy. And I also didn't include any of the other places that I get food in the sustenance eating, just because if I included every single one, the chart would get way too hard to read and it was already getting kind of full with the tags. So you may notice that a lot of the flows don't have their subflows add up entirely. So just keep in mind that there are others. That's why the numbers don't quite add up there. Social eating is fine, like I said. And the entertainment category is just good old-fashioned entertainment that doesn't include food or beverage. Concerts is definitely an outlier here. I don't normally spend that much on concerts, but it just so happened that a lot of really good summer shows were announced in March and April. So I did spend a lot of money on concerts, but also keep in mind that I usually buy concert tickets for two just so that I have someone to go with, and then I'm okay with that cost. The drinks being $273.96 is definitely a little bit too much for my liking. Anytime you're getting a drink out is just so much more expensive than getting drinks at home or from the grocery store and having a drink at home or at a friend's place. So I really do want to cut down on that as well. The next category is grocery, which is obviously very closely related to the previous category of restaurants and entertainment. And in particular, being better about shopping for groceries will hopefully minimize the amount of spend I have for the sustenance eating category. I broke it down into Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, who are the top main groceries that I frequent. Obviously, there are a few others that I didn't include, so it doesn't add up exactly to the $405.99, but those are smaller one-off visits to like a Harris Teeter or Safeway or something. I don't really feel bad about the Whole Foods visits because it is very convenient and being without a car. I think it's fine as long as I shop the Whole Foods brands, but I do need to get better, especially with the Trader Joe's, since I prefer shopping at Trader Joe's over Whole Foods. I need to get better about buying food from the grocery store that I actually will eat and can prepare more quickly and easily, so that way I don't find myself getting in the sustenance eating category and getting Jimmy John's a million times a month, which it looks like I do a lot. Last but not least, we have the final category, which is transportation. I really want to repeat this exercise because I think this category is overly inflated and not indicative of a normal month living here in Washington, D.C. I did happen to buy $80 of plane tickets, and that's just a one-off thing where I was buying plane tickets to visit friends and coworkers in Atlanta. But that really wasn't that expensive since I bought Frontier and flew out of BWI without a carry-on, so that whole cost was $77. But the rideshare numbers are really, really high, and I think that's because I was in North Carolina the first week of April to visit for a friend's wedding. So I flew in and obviously incurred a ton of Uber Lyft charges. I would like to think that on a normal month here in Washington, D.C., my primary transportation charges would pretty much be less than $50 since I mostly just take the Capital Bike Share around or the Metro, and then maybe 4 or 5 ride shares, which shouldn't be nearly as much as the $150 that's listed here in today's Sankey diagram. And that wraps up an entire month of spending for me living and working here in Washington, D.C. I definitely think there are a lot of areas to improve on, such as the sustenance eating and spending on drinks. Hopefully, as I get better at grocery shopping, I can improve on that. And I would be interested to repeat this exercise just to see if some of the anomalies, such as the shopping and rideshare costs, are truly anomalies. So let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video and would be interested in hearing me repeat this exercise in the future, I am going to be moving apartments. So obviously housing and rent costs will change, as well as probably my spending habits, just reflecting and doing this video. So let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in doing something like this again in the future. And thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next one.